over there.
All right.
So,
Hit it.
thought I'd start out just with some kind of a gear list, if you will. But I've used a 36-pound Leadcore line, a couple of brands. This one I got at Captain's Quarters. If you go to the next picture. That's what I added on when I needed to add on, and I've used it since. I like this better because the colors are brighter and more distinct, much easier to count in low light, and after they start to fade in the UV. When you're struggling with old age eyes and low light, you like simple, so I use the Spro connectors. You just get kind of the one you wrap around to put a swivel on, and I use little tiny barrel swivels. And we'll end up with 4 to 6 feet of 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. And for me, I'm hooked up with the guy here on the lake that makes super lightweight spoons. Should be in the next picture. Yeah, so it's about 3 1/4 inches long, weighs almost nothing. So all of the depth comes from the Leadcore line. If you're using, most other people that I've seen on the chat are using heavier spoons, and so the sink rates and the length of the line and the speed of the boat, all that stuff comes into play. But for me, my idle speed is about 2.8 to 3 miles an hour. 7 colors or 210 feet of line. These are going to fish about 20 feet. So the hook probably weighs as much as the spoon does.
So flutter spoon.
Is that a Sutton spoon then, basically?
Sutton, I don't know the brand name.
Yeah, I got turned on to that same spoon, and I got a couple on eBay, and it's a Sutton spoon. It's out of like New York area.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
you can't buy them new anymore, obviously.
Yeah, they fish them in the Great Lakes a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we pass that around?
Sure. And I've got several.
We'll
of
check
them.
your box and shake you down. Get out of here. That's food.
So your whole reel is that Leadcore line, and then you got a fluorocarbon leader?
No, I've got a bunch of, I had on hand 30-pound mono, so I put I don't know how much, depends on the reel, but put a bunch of mono backing on it, and bought a 200-yard spool of line, so I spooled 2 reels, 100 yards apiece. I don't snag much with a single hook, but I've lost a few, and I've broken off a couple of times some of the Leadcore.
And how often does the color change?
10 yards.
So 10 colors, 10 yards.
I fished 7 colors.
Yep.
It's 30 yards or 70 yards, 210 feet.
Gotcha.
All that though depends on the speed of the boat, and the weight of the spoon has an impact on it.
So 10 yards, 30 feet per color.
Yeah.
Simple.
And I think that's pretty standard among the. It is with the Leadcores I've seen.
Gotcha.
How long does your Leadcore last?
I've had it on. This is my 2nd year. It's really my only 2nd year fishing. And it holds up fine. You got to be careful of it because it can kink. Just like a red twist tie. Just be careful to unkink it. Don't pull it out because you don't want to tighten up that kink. It tends not to spool real tightly.
Right.
Yeah.
It just kind of lays on the reel.
Yeah. So because there's no give to it whatsoever. So when I'm retrieving these ultralight spoons, I keep my rod tip down to the water to get as much drag as possible on it as I retrieve it.
Yeah, I used to thumb it.
Yeah, I've had a guy out fishing with me and he wants to pump it when he's got a 21-inch fish. I'm saying don't do that. And if you're pumping, as he was pumping when he was just retrieving the lure, on one occasion the line wrapped around the tip of the rod.
Right.
So the Leadcore is funny like that. You got to be careful with it. And when you're letting line out, you got to keep your thumb on it at all times because it just gets loose in a hurry.
Yep.
It doesn't tend to backlash real seriously, but it does backlash easily.
Yeah.
So let's see what's kind of pictures are coming up next.
All right, so we had the lure.
Got the lure. That's how I like to start my days. So I'm at Parkway Marina and come down and I can see down toward the dam, and I tend to fish within about 10 minutes run, so up to Strawberry Banks and Braddock Creek, up to Gills. I've been up a little further up Blackwater side, 28, 29, 30 range lately.
Not bad work.
Yeah. Next.
Is this a year-round fishing technique that you use, or?
Beats me. So, last, I looked, I've got, where I record the fishing results in the game department book. So I counted it up, I've been on the water 20 times this year. Last year was about half.
Seen it before. Great Lakes.
So, I don't have the depth of experience that some people here do, that anybody here does.
But is this what you strictly stick to, or?
Not 100%, no. I've done a little bit of night fishing, and I troll at night, but I've also cast to the banks. Saturday night, had a good night of that.
On the trolling, from August the 1st to about the 15th of October was the absolute best time.
August the 1st?
To October the 15th.
October the 15th.
And during that time, if it's rigged right and handled right, live bait, nothing else on this lake will be. Now, I've got it proved to me 2 years in a row, and it made a believer out of me.
So you like it in the fall, but not the spring?
The only time they use it, and I use it, is
Wow.
August the 1st to October the 15th.
The only question I got is, like, I got a reel counter, and that stuff is thick. So I don't think your reel counter is really correct.
No, it's not.
It's off because of the thickness.
You gotta count.
Just go by the color.
Yeah.
Well, you can count colors, or once you let it out a few times, I go with the reel counter and the colors.
But you
I
gotta
do the
compensate.
same thing.
As the
When you
reel
do
gets-
that, though, you
as it
find how
gets
bad your
skinnier,
line counters are.
You let out less line per revolution, so the count varies.
Yeah.
And it varies faster with the lead core because it's so thick.
Thick.
A thinner line. So, back of my boat, I've got a 22-foot center console sea hunt, and I've got this ski bar attachment on the back, and I just use those two fishing rod holders there.
That's right.
Most of my fishing is done by myself. I like the rods up where I can see them. If I use the rod holders and the gunnels, it's hard to see both sides. So that's what I tend to use.
Did you attach those?
No, I bought the
They,
boat that way.
they can't, okay.
I bought my retirement boat that way a couple years ago. I hadn't retired. So, what's next? I stumbled upon this view on my Garmin, and somebody earlier mentioned, probably Chad, about you really need to get to know your electronics. And I'm one of those. I bought the boat, this came with it. I still don't know a fraction of everything it can do, but I really like the contour lines for depth and the traditional depth finder view. And you can see the little blue spots. When I catch a fish, or if I see fish or a lot of bait, I go ahead and put a mark on it. And that's been quite helpful. I spent a day, and I don't know the creeks and marinas like everybody else, but up by the Virginia Dare, fishing in 65 to 80 feet of water.
There aren't any fish up there. Don't anybody go up there. There's no fish, there's no bait up there. Please, don't go up
But
there.
I was marking them on one particular line, and I went back and forth and kept catching fish. And even had a green one come up in the mix.
Yeah, don't talk about those either. There's no green fish in our 20, please.
Yeah. So there's plenty of times I still don't know how to do everything over here, whether it's trees, or it could be fish, or it could be this, or it could be that, or it looks like a ball of bait. So, I'm getting some clues on it, but I wish I knew that better. But this, I troll deeper in the summertime, 50, 100-foot line, or out in the main channel. In the last month or so, I've had a lot more luck fishing shallower, especially the main points. So let's go on. Next picture. Just some more views, and the dotted line is the track of the boat. So if I find something interesting, I might come back and forth a few times. I see something over on that side, and that looks like some good fish to me, so I
30
might put a
foot.
mark down. John, next one. And this is still daylight pictures, and Thatcher Creek right there. Next one, fishing a little deeper.
There's a bunch of umbrella rigs.
Yeah. So, and the rest of these are night pictures. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of fish on the points or the shallower water primarily. So this is 24.5 feet deep. So I'm just tracking along the shoreline. There have been nights so dark that I couldn't see the boat docks until I'm right on top of them. And this has boat dock images on it. And I don't know if that's 100% of them yet. I don't know how old that data is, or if it's possibly a live update. I don't even know that. but it's helpful.
Mm.
So let's go on. Next one. Yeah, I like the looks of that. What are those? Stripers maybe?
More than likely.
Yeah, but as you can see, I've laid down some marks, so I came through here marking and went back the other way.
So you're in 24 feet of water, so how deep are you running there? Like 10, 12?
Well, I was running probably 20, I was running my standard spoon trolling, 20 feet. And I had been through there, and it's easy to get off track a little bit if you're paying attention to other things. You find your way into shallower water, but there were no trees up there.
Oh,
And with the single hook on this lure that I troll, I tend not to get snagged much. If I just hit bottom, it'll bump. But rarely do I.
so another advantage of the single hook.
Yeah, I find that to be a big advantage, especially fishing shallower. Summertime, not so relevant. So, next one.
Sorry, what size hook did you say that was?
I don't know, we got one around.
It's right here.
I don't know how to guess what that is.
like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
4, mostly a 4.
I've not ever noticed that I've missed a hookup with a single hook on there. That if I get hit, that if I'm aware that I get hit, I've had a hookup and a fish. So I don't, and plus, as mentioned earlier to somebody, I got tired of pulling treble hooks out of nets and out of the fish. So I like those spoons for several reasons like that. What's next? These are just more of the same, those a little deeper. Help me out, what is this?
Opportunity. So if that's at night, is that at night?
It's night.
That's bait.
I'd almost bet that's.
Yeah, that to me
Big
looks
bait.
much smaller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and as you can see here, I'm coming in and, here's a 50-foot contour line. So it's headed back in. Next. And just a few more of the same, keep going. There's some stripers in there.
So do you catch a variety of fish, not just stripers with that, because it's not
I've
that hard to
caught
avoid?
3 largemouth bass this year and last, and everything else has been stripers. And there, now I'm in 24 and a half feet of water. So go ahead. More of the same. Next.
I think that's it. Oh,
Should be.
there we go. There are a few more.
Now, I saw more in your preview earlier. You pulled up like a file manager type view.
He's got more down in the bar, upside the bar.
Pardon me? What you got next? There we go. This is one of the real reasons I like trolling. My 4.5-year-old grandson can't sit still. There's no way in the world he can't cast. No way in the world to do anything but drive. And he's good at it. I say, see that white roof up there? Aim for that. Because he keeps it on line.
Nice.
So, next.
Are you using your big motor when you're doing this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that's a good setup for what I'm trolling. Because
So
I
you're
like that.
trolling quite a bit faster than if you had live bait or
Oh,
something.
yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
need a trolling motor for that. So just a few shots in the family.
Didn't you say you were about, what, 2.5, 3 miles an hour?
2.8 to 3,
Wait.
and that's 29-inch striker. Time of his life.
Nice technique.
Okay.
Nice.
So, and keep them loose.
That fish looks fat.
Check this one.
There's no bait.
Big time.
Next. Next. Yeah, that's a fat fish. And coming home at the end of the day. Next. Coming out of Strawberry Banks, with water tower in the background.
Oh, nice.
Glassy
Oh,
surface.
he's up there at your place, John. He could.
I've
he's
seen
having
him.
that
I've
big
seen him.
striper up there.
This goes in my logbook.
One more.
Paul's
I
back.
think that's it.
Oh, so those are the lights there at Boardwalk, on the right side of the coal. Coal.
Oh, that other view of my depth finder where it tracks you, for those still new to the lake, if you will head out before dark and set a clean track, follow it home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm new to this and I just got a boat, so I do need a depth finder, and so if anybody has one they're getting rid of or has a suggestion where to go or what to get, I'd be up for that.
So I just saw something, I think it's gonna be part of like Bass Pro's Christmas special. They're gonna have some really good deals on the Garmin's. And I don't wanna push you one way or the other. I mean, do you have experience with finders? Like, I know some people say, I'm
Zero.
a Lowrance person, or I'm a
Nope,
Humminbird.
zero.
Depending on what you want, the Garmin, if you want to go with the live scope, Garmin's live imaging is the best. As far as like the sonar, I'm not sure Garmin's is better than Lowrance. I think Lowrance probably has a better sonar. And what would you just call it? It's not their sonar and their live image, not live scope, but their live imaging. Down. That's right. I think Lowrance is better at that. I haven't used Humminbird at all, so I can't speak to that. But if you want to get on that group me chat and ask around, you'll get a lot of good. You probably get a lot of good information.
What am I gonna be looking at to spend to get something decent without breaking the bank?
Well, with or without live scope? Well, without live scope, you could probably get in around $1,000.
What's the live scope?
Live scope is a
That's another thing.
it's a video to clearly see the fish moving on your screen.
Okay.
But it's not anything you would run when you're moving your boat. It's for when you're still fishing, or if you're just trolling live bait at 0.5, that you can use it for that, but not for trolling. So
Catching bait too, it's handy. Catching bait.
Do you crappie fish any?
I haven't done anything yet.
So like the live scope is invaluable for crappie fishing. Like you can pull up to a tree, like let's say the tree is laying in the water toward me. You can shoot that live scope transducer at that tree, and you can see the individual fish like swim. Like if there's a limb like this, you can see a fish. He'll coming up and down, and then it'll also tell you, okay, that limb that has the fish on it, it's 20 feet from the transducer, and it's 12 feet deep. So I'm not that smart, and I can figure that out. And it made me a below average crappie fisherman to a decent one pretty quick, just because of that. That's to me, and like John said, finding bait. Because if you go into the back of a creek, people think, okay, there's a school of gizzard shad. They're just kind of hanging out, like just hanging out. No way. They are moving and swimming around each other. They could be over there, but then they move and they're over there. You can save yourself a dozen throws with the net if you see them move.
So you can start with the Garmin. You can add things like live scope later
That's
on.
what I was thinking to say. Get your basic unit that is live scope compatible. Then you can break the bank at another point.
Yeah, live scope's a good little chunk.
Yep.
And what I've got here will give you time of day, surface temperature, and speed of the boat.
Yeah.
Those are probably all standard.
And the Garmin Echo Map has a really, really nice base map in it. It's got really good, tight contour lines. I've got a Humminbird on my pontoon. It's got a really low-grade base map. So I think if I were you, I'd probably just go with like a Garmin Echo Map to start.
Yeah. Garmin's real easy to use too. It has a very easy user
It pretty
interface.
much comes plug and play. Like you can fiddle with it a little bit, but man, it's pretty dialed in, like right out of the box.
I've never used electronics before I lived here at the lake, and I got a Garmin that came with my boat, and it took me a while to even understand what I was seeing. Like you were saying, it's like, well, man, I'm not sure how to use this thing, but it's pretty intuitive. I have live scope too, but truthfully, I don't really use it that much. I probably should be using it more than I do.
It's fun for vertical jigging.
Yeah. Oh man.
Make sure whoever you buy it from, or whoever you, make sure it's the transducer put on your boat properly.
Yeah.
Because it ain't no good at all without that transducer on it properly.
Right.
Another Leadcore tip.
Okay.
If you fish in Leadcore, kinking can be a problem. So I think I got this here at the club, a free giveaway one time, and I put some electrical tape on it. But just something round, you can use a piece of broom handle or towel or something. So you can take a couple wraps around it. First of all, you want to get up directly over it. and then take a couple wraps around something and pull it until something gives.
Oh, that's right, because the lead cores, I mean, you might lose your fluorocarbon.
Right.
Okay.
I'd rather lose my leader and my lure.
Yeah.
But I have lost some of the lead core before. So that's why you wanna get right on top of it if you gotta brute force it off. And have something round to take some wraps around.
But
you have to-
around the cleat of your boat.
You have to break the braid to do that, don't you?
I gotta make them
The
look
braid,
white.
the braid around the outside of the lead core is pretty strong.
It's pretty strong, but I've broken it once or twice.
Yes.
And then I'll lengthen it with some of the other line I've got as needed. The other thing is, I saw a cool video once about a guy catching a fish on a spoon like this. So I went to Dollar Tree and bought a couple spoons and made some lures. Now I gotta drag them and see if I can catch them. So I'm gonna catch a fish on my spoon.
Okay.
Funny story, my dad, 85, 87, whatever, always blew fish in Barnegat Bay. So we were out one morning and I put out the 2 lines, conventional spoon, whatever. And he goes, I'm gonna try this. And he gets into his bucket, he pulls out a butter knife. Now he was a sheep metal worker, so you don't know the tools. He punched a hole in each end of the knife, put it in the vise and twisted it. Put a single hook on it and a swivel. So I'm driving the boat, we're trolling across Barnegat Bay, nothing. I don't pay attention, he starts tinkering in the back, he puts the 3rd line in, he's holding the 3rd line. Wouldn't you know, he catches a bluefish. Pond is homemade.
There you go.
Right. So he started mass producing them. Everybody on his block now.
The Britsky butter knife?
You don't want to gap into the blood, you don't want to hit them.
Yeah.
So when you find
Grab the
the
handle.
boat, you reach down, you grab the handle of the butter knife, and you're bringing the boat.
There you go.
Does anybody have any questions for Paul?
Yeah, yes, sir. You're trawling at night and catching them also.
Yes.
So I guess I misunderstood. I kept thinking you had to have something that would rattle or make noise, but you're not doing that, and they still bite.
Nope. I haven't done enough night trolling to really have any conclusions about whether that's more or less productive. I've been out night fishing just a small number of times, but I've caught fish that way.
Question, the guy that makes that spoon that you use, is he on the lake?
He lives over, off Bull Run or Little
Oh,
Bull
that
Run.
guy's been making these spoons for probably 15, 20 years now,
John Orbaugh.
probably. I would say share his name if the guy's looking for business.
Put it on Greek Man, that way everybody will get it.
I'll check with him and see if that's right.
Yeah, if it's okay, yeah.
Yeah, I met up with him on the lake. I snagged one early this year and it was down to 1 or 2 spares, so I called him and, we met on the water.
He's been making a good drug deal.
I have a research and development idea.
What's
I'm
that?
sitting here thinking that, what if, instead of trolling those with like your big motor, you put out a spread? Like, just like you would with planers and downlines. I mean, I can imagine in the channel,
Yeah.
putting 30 feet of line out with a 2-ounce sinker, and then you've got you need a longer leader so that
Right.
the spoon can do its thing.
Yep.
And you're trolling along at 0.5, 0.7. I can imagine those spoons are going nuts down there, right? I
I
mean,
would think there's an incredible action with those.
so if anybody wants to do some R&D with me, I'm up for doing that one day.
Do you tie directly to that split ring, or how do you tie that?
I mentioned earlier the problem with old eyes in low light, so I'll pre-rig them with about 6 feet of 30-pound fluorocarbon tied to the split ring with one of these little barrel swivels from Spro on it.
So the barrel
And
swivel.
the end of my lead core has the Spro, looks like sort of like a paper clip. So I just slide this on and make a loop and I'm ready to go.
That's smart.
So I keep them rigged up.
And what's that, 15 pound?
30-pound fluorocarbon.
30 pound fluorocarbon, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I typically use this field later. With the 36-pound lead core, 30-pound fluorocarbon.
I definitely want to try trolling those with trolling motor.
What's that?
I think it worked really behind a planer boat.
Like, my mind's going crazy thinking about it. Really.
Be sure to talk to him, make sure. He wants to sell a lot of spoons.
But, like Paul said, I don't think you're gonna be losing a lot either. Right, with a single hook, I don't think you're gonna be losing. And if you think about trolling them like you're trolling live bait, so let's say you've got your 2-ounce sinker down, that spoon should be above your 2-ounce sinker. You don't think it would be?
No, I don't think so.
Should be level with it, I would think. It's gonna be at the sinker. where
It definitely won't be, it definitely won't be down here.
No, it will travel flat behind the sinker.
Okay.
You just look at it with your live scope and see how deep you are.
Just hook it up with a 3-way rig, run a bucktail below it. That's the weight, and then that'll stay up top. You run it like a 3-way rig.
Ooh, I like that.
That way you have the 2 lures in the.
So are we going out tomorrow? Is that what you're
I
telling
think we're
me?
going out tonight.
Does anybody troll with spoons without lead core?
You have to use the weighted spoons. Those
That's
are
what
weighted.
I'm curious. I had lead core on one of my reels that Dwayne had kind of guided me into last year, and I was very frustrated with it. I'll really admit it. I finally took it all off. But yeah, I'd love to troll with spoons, but I'd love to see how heavy I'd have to have a spoon to manipulate the depth somewhat.
Probably what Chad suggested,
so
you
it's
go
not
weight
filling it.
ahead of it with a longer leader behind it to the spoon.
Okay.
I've done it with rigging just like a live bait rig. Run a 2-ounce barrel swivel, in front of it
Okay.
with a 3 or 4 foot leader. And you can pull all kind of, you can pull a swim bait, a spoon, even some crankbaits and stuff that way.
Joel, when you troll your crankbaits, you're only doing crankbaits because if you get hit, you want the rest of them to float up.
Right.
You don't do the spoons,
Right.
do you? Okay.
And there's one thing, you pulling 2 rods, correct?
Only 2.
I quit doing it, I'll be honest with you, because it works really, really, really good. And what I found, if I got 300 feet
Yeah.
rods out here, I have got to keep that motor in gear.
Yeah.
I have got to keep her going, and I got to fight the fish
That's
against
what
the 3 miles an hour boat speed also.
That's what I didn't bring up here, is I always retrieve the slack line first. I leave it in gear, retrieve the slack line, so it won't sink to the bottom in whatever kind of bottom we're in.
Yeah, you got
And
to do
keep-
one or the other.
Keep the boat in gear, that's enough tension to keep the fish on. I've not lost anything that way.
Then you kick it out of gear and fight the fish in.
Yes, once I
That's
get
what
the
I've
line in, I
found,
take it out of gear
Yeah,
and fight the
that's
fish.
it. That's really important.
If you don't in this hot weather, when it works so good, that
Yeah.
fish is toast when you get it from 300 feet of fighting it all the way in. It's, you got dinner is what you most of the time got.
And I like to leave, more recently started letting the boat continue, not retrieving the slack line yet, hoping for a second hit. I'm still waiting for that.
Getting greedy. Getting greedy.
Yeah, so I'll leave it in gear for 10 seconds and see if I hit something.
See, what I do is pretty much the same thing. When I'm pulling it like that, when the fish initially hits, I'll put speed to the boat, surge it into it, make sure I get the hook set, then I'll take the boat out of gear, and I actually turn the motor off and fight it. It's almost free line fighting it at that point. It's a lot of fun,
Yeah, but
really,
it
truthfully.
takes a minute to get a couple hundred yards of line in.
Yes, sir. It's a long way. When you see that fish come up to the fish and it's 300 feet out behind the boat, and you still got to get him to the boat.
Yeah, so I leave it in gear until I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
Anything else for Paul?
I'd like to say, you said you were learning your contour lines and stuff on your graph. I don't know if any of you all fool with the Navionics app.
Love it.
But I used it up on the Potomac, and you sit there watching TV at night and pick out your next day's fishing spots that you've never even been to and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great. I think it's like $15 a year or something like
Well,
that.
the free one, the Navionics web app that you can pull up on either on your phone or on your. That one right there.
This is the web viewer for Smith Mountain Lake.
Okay.
And it's totally free. You just go to this web page,
And
this is Smith Mountain Lake, and there's all your contours.
You had to
What I
pay.
do.
Yeah.
I live by that thing.
Yeah, if you want it on your phone, you gotta pay them a subscription, but you do this on your computer when you're sitting around watching TV and figuring out where you're gonna go.
If you do a Garmin, you have a program called Active Captain, which
Yep.
is probably similar to what you've got.
It looks the same, yeah.
And I've got all the tackle and everything over here too, if you wanna take a look at it.
So before we do our, and I don't wanna put the younger folks on, on too much notice tonight, but did you guys enjoy yourselves? Did you enjoy yourself tonight?
We love your honesty.
Did you learn something tonight? Did you learn something tonight that might help you catch fish, or maybe get you interested in fishing?